Hello and welcome back to my stream. Well, I say welcome back. Maybe this is your first time, but I'm going to assume that you've probably seen one or two before. Yeah, sorry I started a little bit later than usual today. Don't really know what's how I ended up running out of time. I've been having a very slow morning, and so I think I just ended up, you know, spending a bit more time, eating and sorting myself out. And so suddenly I was like, oh, I need to start the stream. Oh no. But I hope 10 minutes isn't too bad anyway. Okay, so I wasn't quite sure what song I wanted to do today. It's always a bit where I get to Thursday and I'm thinking, I'm doing a stream tomorrow. What song do I want to do? Now, my initial thought was actually a Joni Mitchell song, which I would quite like to arrange, but I also, because I'm trying to kind of pick songs that I can also publish. And it's a little, so copyright is something that's a little bit tricky, and especially because everyone's kind of interacting with copyrighted material all the time and don't necessarily understand how the relationship between them and the product and what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do and stuff. And so while I could just go like, well, I just want to arrange the Joni Mitchell song, I would probably get away with it, but I couldn't get the rights to sell that arrangement after the fact. And I actually get asked, like, quite a lot of choir people have actually asked me this, like, how do you get the rights to publish an arrangement? And it's something I might do an episode on in the future. I do get asked about this a fair bit, and I'm by no means, an expert. This is really, something for a lawyer to talk about. But I do have some limited knowledge of this, and I do, we did have to study this in university, like very superficially, copyright 101, because it is such an important part of musicians' careers, and I think more so than they really fully acknowledge all of the time. But yeah, point was I couldn't get publishing rights for that song very easily, especially not, because I was just thinking about this yesterday. And so I thought, okay, well, if I can't get the rights for this song, I'm just going to have a look around and see what pops up. And I heard a song by the artist Pink. And for those of you familiar with Pink, I've been a big fan of Pink for a long time. She kind of had a big break in the early 2000s, and she's always been this extremely cool artist, an extremely good singer, and she always has like this very countercultural, aesthetic, if you will. I mean, she's very much a pop rock kind of artist, but first of all, she is a really skilled singer, and she's just she always seems to want to speak out for people who are a bit downtrodden, not living a good life. It's just she's just kind of stuck with that consistently throughout her career, and I think that's quite admirable. And so I thought, I want to do a song by Pink, and so I'll show you in a bit. The song is Tanabe Simba says, "Nah, we forgive you. We're here to enjoy the stream." Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get right to the arranging so we can get get going with the match at hand. So the song I chose, it's quite a recent song. It's not one of her early ones. It is called Try. And I am aware that Pink did not write this song. This song was written by someone else. But it is a very, first of all, it's a very catchy song. It's a song that people will hear once, you will kind of remember it. It's got a very memorable chorus. It's got, it's got some good lyrics. It's got some that are a bit like, but it's a song that I was very surprised to find out doesn't actually have a whole lot of choral interpretations available. I mean, maybe I just didn't find. I looked very superficially again, but it's the sort of song that I think a lot of choirs would want to do, and maybe just haven't had, a good arrangement. Not to say that I'm here to bring the big fantastic arrangement that everyone's going to use, but it is a song that I think would be appealing to a cappella groups, and I think I could arrange. And it's a song that's also on the surface quite simple. It doesn't really have a whole lot of stuff in the track that stands out. I mean, there's Pink's singing, obviously. She's great. But the production and the structure of the song is very simple. And when you work on music that is on the surface quite simple, you have to be quite creative with the way you add stuff, and you create interest, which is always my thing. You need to create interest. I'll get onto the dynamics graph in a minute. For those of you who are not familiar, I always do this thing called a dynamics graph. But first, let's just have a look. So, and you'll see this is just something I wrote down yesterday. My setup is not going to be like this. It's just going to be a cappella today. Soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And I might split one of the parts. I haven't decided. I might not have to. I try to encourage people as much as they can to not split unless they have to, because you want, especially if you're working with a group where the setup is likely to change a bit, where like you will have 20 singers on one occasion, but then on another occasion you might just have 10, and then you might suddenly, get a gig, but then it'll be like, oh, we can only afford 4 singers. You want to then still have an arrangement you can use that doesn't have, 8 part splits. So I do encourage people to think about how often you split the parts, and if you're going to split something, try to make it the same parts every time. So like I tend to split the soprano part, for instance, for 2 reasons. First of all, because I know that the soprano section tends to be oversubscribed in choirs, but also because ideally when you're splitting parts, you want to make sure that you split in such a way that you have more singers singing the lowest note always. You want to kind of do it like a triangle shape where sopranos, mezzos, altos, where you have the most people on the lowest notes, because those can be a little bit trickier to project. That being said, this is of course going to vary depending on your group. I would conversely also say you should probably split the bass parts before the tenor parts. And that just immediately contradicts what I just said. But the reason why is that the tenor part is usually undersubscribed in choirs, meaning that you're likely to have more basses than tenors. And so ideally, you'd want to split the tenor part for the same reason I just said you should split the soprano part. But just because I know that there tends to be fewer tenors than basses, then it might be better to split the bass part. But again, this is something you have to consider, on a choir by choir basis, if you will. Do you have a choir where all things are equal? You have 10 singers on each part and they're all roughly the same in skill level? Well, then sopranos and tenors are the sections to split, in my opinion. But yeah, again, this is something I might end up doing. I'll have to see. Okay, so I've just written down temporarily on this piano stuff, which is not going to be in the full arrangement, some stuff I noted from the track. And to be honest, it's just, this is the chord progression, there's a line at the top here, and there's a bass line. That's quite memorable. We can listen to it quickly. Oh. That's it. And it's got chords happening, but it's, it is basically that. That's the memorable bits. Marco says, I feel smarter just by listening to these explanations. Well, thank you. I feel a bit self-conscious about it's not very flashy, this stream. It's very much just me doing my job and talking as well. But at least if I can impart some knowledge that will be useful to you, then I will have achieved something. Okay, so, clearly there's not a whole lot of stuff happening here. And with this track, and again, it's this thing you see a lot in pop music. They will use the production a lot more than necessarily adding loads of counter melodies. They'll add another instrument. They'll add, another layer of synth. They'll do stuff like this to build. And, with the voices, you can sort of do that, but not really to the extent you can with, a full production studio. You can introduce one part at a time, and then you can say, start with one singer and then add another. You can do that, but it's not perhaps going to have the same effect as, you know, being able to add 3 more guitars and 5 more synths. So we'll look about that. We'll look at this in a while. Okay, there's Come. Ever wonder about what he's doing? How it's all turned to lies? Sometimes I think that it's better to never ask why. I mean, this is who remembers this? This is the exciting bit. The exciting bit comes here. Where there is desire, there is going to be a flame. Where there is a flame, someone's bound to get burned. But just because it burns doesn't mean you're going to die. You got to get up and try. That's the bit that people remember. This is the real memorable part, and it's I think it's a good sentiment as well to have a song about how, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, except not expressed in well, it's kind of like it's a bit cliche, but not the worst. It isn't, when life gives you lemons, you got to make lemonade. It is, it ties together the metaphors of there's a flame in your desire, and then you play with fire, you're going to get burned, etc. But not in a way that I've seen done loads. And of course, it starts on this nice high belting note, and yeah, it's great. Okay, this song does have a lot of interludes. I noticed just sections where there's not really a whole lot happening. Like Pink might do some ad-lib riffs at the top. And this is something you can, of course, incorporate into your choral arrangements, but you need to know that you've got people that can do that, because that's not always going to be the case. Okay. Funny how the heart can be deceiving, more than just a couple of times. Why do we fall in love so easy, even when it's not right? Okay, so it's about, a bad love affair, something that didn't work out. Okay. Kind of stays the same as before, though. It's not really changed much. There was a little ad-lib line here, which I added. Oh, sorry. Okay, back to chorus. So already we have, intro, verse, chorus. Then I did it as a DSL coda structure. I knew that, okay, I'll probably want to repeat the chorus exactly the same. Because with music that has a lot of choruses happening, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to arrange the chorus, 5 times differently every time. It's too much work. So I tend to repeat the first variation once, so 2 times the total. That's why I did this. And then towards the end, when you sometimes have the chorus just being done over and over again, that's when I'll change it up. And this is just so I don't have to spend ages and ages trying to be super creative, trying to make new versions of the same chorus. If you feel really passionately about the song and feel like this is time you're willing to invest, then okay, you can do that. A lot of the time, you're just trying to put together something that works and that gets across the message of the song. And if you do a really good chorus arrangement once, it probably will, it bears repeating. You can do it again. And I don't think I've ever regretted just repeating the chorus as it is, and then, saved my my alternate versions for the last part of the song. Okay, so in the coda, again, it's just got this little interlude, and then it's just another verse, really. It's not a bridge, as in the typical song that has, verse, chorus, bridge, and then double chorus. This one has a bridge that is actually just another verse. Mayor Combrick says, "Hello, Knut and others. I'll pop in again to watch, but have to run some errands first, aka work. Lol. Looking forward to another cool arrangement." Well, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I acknowledge that it's tricky to stick with a stream that's happening, what is effectively, noon on a Friday. I think once I'm at some point in July, I'm going to go back to the UK, and I'll be probably thinking about moving the stream maybe a bit later, so that it's after people's work days over. And I'll have to see if Friday's the right day to be doing it, because then, depending on where you are, you might want to go to, I don't know, the pub after work. I'll have to think more about this. when I go back to the UK. But yeah, no problem. I don't expect people to stick with the stream throughout what is it going to be for a lot of people, just their work day. Okay, so this is verse 3. So it can be a little tricky then that you don't have something else to break up the song. And again, the song kind of gets away with this, the original that is, with the production. And I think we need to be very careful then about how we choose to interpret this in this choral arrangement, because this can very quickly become just the same thing over and over and over again. And you want to avoid that. But there's ways around that, which I'll talk about. Ever worry that it might be ruined, and does it make you want to cry? When you're out there doing what you're doing, are you just getting by? Tell me, are you just getting by? Yeah, and then it goes up into the chorus again, and it's the same thing. It's got a few repeats just at the end here. I immediately clocked that I didn't want to have it just go on and on. So I just said, okay, well, we'll repeat this bit once and then we'll go out. That being said, you can always, when you've got sections like this at the end of a song, you can always write just like repeat ad libitum, or, just ad lib repeat, however often feels right. And then the conductor will make a choice on the day. And then you just write, you can do in Sibelius, you see I've done, repeats 1, repeat 2. You can, if you go into the lines, notation lines, you have endings. And if we go down to, let's see, where are they? Yeah, here we go. So just an ending that doesn't have a number attached. Let me just put this in properly. Line, open ending. There. And then you can just write in plain text, repeat ad lib, or until Q is also with. Yeah, repeats until Q. And then that gives the conductor some creative, options to just keep repeating it. If it feels like, the audience is really getting into it, maybe they're clapping along and you feel like, what, it would be a shame to finish just yet. Let's go another round. That's something you can do. And I think just for now, I'll just keep it as 1 and 2. But that's an option you have. Okay, and boom, boom, boom goes out. And I just kind of had it end on the tonic B minor. Okay, so that is the structure of the song. Let's outline this and make some decisions. So we do our good old dynamics graph, which I love, where I'm just showing you where the climaxes are going to be and where the I wonder if I can get these like that. It annoys me a little bit that they're not filled in. Did I get them filled in? No. It's very bare bones, this paint, but it's enough for this. There we go. So we are looking at, this is double F and this is PP. And again, dynamics graphs I do because they help me stay focused and they help me keep going until the arrangement's finished rather than stop before it's done. Because this is a very common problem people run into, is they will start, they feel super inspired, and as they work, they kind of lose track a bit of what they wanted to achieve. And it's really, no one cares about an arrangement that's not finished. You need to finish it. I'm sorry to say. So you gotta set it up so that you know that whatever happens, you will get this done. Tanabe Simba says, select the bucket icon to the left of brushes and I'll fill in the arrows. Yeah, I mean, I could do it after the fact like that, boom, there. But it's kind of, I wanted to see if I can fill it in, if I can fill it in, without having to do that. It doesn't matter massively, but yeah. Okay, so let's see. We've got intro and then verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, verse 3, chorus. Again, it's very simple. Chorus, and then I'll probably just call this bridge. It is technically another verse. I will call it bridge because I think something needs to be significantly different here. If you just do another straight verse kind of arrangement there, there's a risk that that's gonna just make it seem like the song doesn't really have make it seem like the sections aren't distinct. You need to make sure that each verse kind of gets a bit of its own identity. The choruses will kind of the choruses get their identity from being more or less the same. The verses get their identity from being similar, but you will use different words. You will do things to make them feel separate, and I think that should be reflected in a good arrangement. Okay, so I think in order to make the bridge stand out, I think that should either be really quiet or really, really loud. And I think we really should have a quiet chorus at some point. I don't think it's going to be the first one. The first one's going to be up here, and the verse is going to be here. I think just start it like this, maybe like so, and then boop. I think that's a fair way to start. Don't be too tentative in the beginning, but we will want to change something in a bit down there. Don't need to make the second verse quiet. That's a natural progression. After you've had a loud chorus, you'll kind of keep up the energy. Michael says, the pubs could put your live streams on the TVs. Would be a nice change from all that football. I'm seeing quite a lot of my friends in the UK. I'm not sure if this is the case everywhere, but in the UK, a lot of people in the creative fields are getting really fed up with the fact that football stadiums are allowed to be fully open and have full capacity, and you're not allowed to run your choir rehearsals or have theatres open at a reduced capacity even. It feels a bit... It feels very unfair. And you see these pictures of people basically in Leicester Square standing like tuna, sardines in a can is what we say. And then you're like, and we can't have a socially distant choir rehearsal, but this is fine. So yeah, there's some frustrations there, but yeah, I don't know if the average pub goer would be terribly interested in listening to me arranging music. Maybe if I flashed it up a bit and I had like live singers. Maybe if I ever get the budget to do like arrangements where I have actual live singers to perform the stuff I write, that would be cool. I assume that the second chorus is going to be the same as the first. So I'll just keep it there. Boom. There. So we got this nice little shape. I think this bridge should be really quiet. Just looking at what's happened before, we've had kind of something along the lines of F and MF, if we say they're about here. This isn't terribly scientific. My graph is not terribly scientific. I realized that this isn't really how you'd distribute stuff on the axes, but I'm just it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be something to help you draft your arrangement. And then I think we should actually keep it quiet and then just boop towards the end. I think that will be quite exciting. But we'll have to see how that works in practice. It might be that I end up instead, let's mark this in a second color. It might be that I end up instead, oops, I did the wrong color, sorry. Might be that I instead end up doing this. And then down there. So there's a few different options here. I think, though, I'll want to base whatever key I choose to do this in. I want to base it on maybe the last chorus, but I think even the first couple of choruses are going to be in a fairly high emphatic range anyway. Okay, so now we've got a very simple shape. We've got this it's the camel that has the two humps, isn't it? Yeah, it's got this camel shape here, and then optionally a hump at the end, but maybe a delayed slow burn, if you will. Marcus says, why not? Seems like a perfectly legit it seems like a legit choral. Well, I mean, it's I was all primed to go into the sciences before I changed my mind towards the end of my sixth form years. That's the, before you go into university, because I was so tired and sick of it. So this isn't foreign to me. Maybe that comes across in the way I work. Very obviously, like very structured. Okay, let's get into the score. Michael says, the same in Canada. The rules don't always make sense. Yep, the rules don't always make sense. This is true. Incidentally, what's been quite nice about being in Norway is that, or in my area of Norway even, this doesn't apply for the whole country, is that we've actually been allowed to do choir rehearsals. Like offline choir rehearsals together in the same room. With a lot of, restrictions and stuff we've had to observe, of course. And there's been periods when it's been stopped. But that's not been the case in the UK. And yeah, it's been quite lucky that I've actually gotten to do some singing, because this has not been the case for a lot of singers, unfortunately. Okay, I think maybe let's have a look at the first chorus. I think I'll probably want to base whatever I do on that. I think for this arrangement, I won't assume that I'm writing for, the most basic, unauditioned, low ability community choir. It's going to be a cappella, so I'm going to assume that there will be, a certain skill. There'll be intermediate to higher up, is what I'm trying to say. Marcus says, yeah, music is it's the same in Italy. My sympathies. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's kind of this way a lot of places still. Like in the UK, things are gradually opening up, and they've been very, they've been pushing very to get things open by the summer, which we'll see how that goes. But, in places like, say, India, I don't know how things are exactly in India right now, but there was a huge surge in COVID cases, and I think it's been very, very tough. And not just, for the arts, but just for everyone. Yeah, we've been quite lucky in Norway being, fairly away from it. But even here, like if you go to Oslo, people have actually been locked into their houses basically for 6 months. It's it's not been good. Not been good for people psychologically, what I mean. It is. I do still believe that it's important to try and not have loads of people die from COVID. But yeah, anyway, we shall hope that people will be able to, do our choirs in a bit, and they'll be able to do my arrangement. Okay, so what I just said, I don't want to have to think that this is the lowest ability group. This does not give me permission to not do voice leading. This is something I want people to keep in mind. Is even when you're writing for really good groups, do still observe voice leading, because you don't want your performance to be all about singers always having to be thinking a lot about tuning. Ideally, you'll have arranged it in such a way that the tuning happens without the singers having to struggle too much to get it happening. And this, I mean, of course, depending on your group, that might not be possible. If you've got a group where there are a couple of people in the bass section who always sing a semitone flat, that means that you will probably have to address this and work on this with the group. But if we're assuming that they are generally good singers and will sing in key if presented with music that enables that, then this is what I'll assume. I'll assume that these guys will be able to hold their own. These fine men and women and other will be able to handle it if it's well written. So concerning key, now I've got two things to think about. I've got the bass. This chord progression is a very common pop chord progression. It is 4, 1, 5, 6. You will find variations of this chord progression. That sounds like every other pop song you've ever heard, I'm sure. And same with the verses. They also use a really common chord progression. They use 6, 5, 1, 6, 4, 1, 5. Sorry. Again, this will probably sound very, very familiar to you. You also see it sometimes with the first and the second bar reversed. You get this happening. Just wrote in all the stuff I played here. This is a very common chord progression. Some people jokingly refer to it as the pop chords. It's the I don't know how to play it in this key exactly, but it's it's the chords from Don't Stop Believing, basically. And I think G is a very good low note for basses. It's a low note that also people who are more of baritone singers will still be able to project. So I have a sneaky suspicion that I wouldn't want to put it further down, because I think that would lead to problems. I mean, of course, I could shift this up, but I think it's actually it's a good cutoff point here. And looking at this, like this D, that is a good kind of achievable high note to put in your sopranos. I'm wondering if maybe it's going to be okay the way it is. I also like the fact that the verses are they're very much D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D. They're very much just on D. But those notes, a D is a really good low range note for all singers. Like all voices should be able to do, that note is a very good note for all singers to sing. And it doesn't really go very high, it goes up to the A. And what that means is I can basically put the melody in any of the parts. And this is useful because it means it'll be easy for me to move the melody around so that they all get a part of it. I mean, you could even do something like this. This is a bit on the nose in terms of spreading it out. You turn these down an octave. How it all turns to light. Sometimes I think that's better to never ask why. Like, that would be a very good and this will be a good way to spread out the melody, so that every part gets a part of it. I'm not sure if this is what I'll do, but like I appreciate the fact that this is already in a key that's suitable for a choir. So I don't really necessarily think I have to change it. Okay, so we know that this is going to be loud, and I'll want to have this in the sopranos. And if you've got, a pop choir, and, I'm assuming that, this would be most appropriate for, a pop choir to sing, then this would be a point where some of your sopranos who are belters would do that in that style. And of course, that would then capture the essence of the original very well. Let's assume this is obviously going to have to go in the bass part. Obviously, I'm just going to turn off the piano track. The piano is not going to be in the final product. That is just here for me to make notes. So for anyone joining the stream a little late, this is just, in fact, I'll make it small. You can change the instrument size and be like the Sibelius like this. Just be like, this is just there. It's not supposed to be in the track. Let's copy this over. This is also probably going to have to change a little bit because there's no way for them to breathe. And I do think people need to think about the breaths. Like, yeah, you could do stagger breaths, but try to imagine that there's going to be one person to a part and try to think where would be a good place for them to breathe. Okay. First of all, this begs for choral style harmonies or block harmonies. It's just that's what you want to have. You want to have them strong in their high range, and it's very easy to do so. you do top to bottom arranging, which is what I always do. Look at the top note, look at the harmony. What do I need to add? Well, for a D major chord and the note's D, it's going to be A and F sharp. And here's this is a passing note. You don't need to change the other parts here. There. Now, one thing I might want to do here is just to have a slightly better voice leading. Might want to do it like this. There we go. Because then we have that F sharp going up to G rather than down to D. Again, this just has to do with, and again, this is something that kind of comes out of classical music, and you don't necessarily have to observe this, as long as your voice leading is otherwise sound. But ideally, you want to have the leading note, so the third step in a dominant chord, that note, you want it to move up. And that is effectively what's happening here, because you have a D chord that goes to a G chord. So it's got a dominant tonic kind of relationship. Likewise, if you have the seventh added, that note, you want it to go down. I think it's going to be a little bit too on the nose. Again, you can't really do it here because the melody is on the C sharp, and the C natural would have been the seventh on this D chord. So in this case, putting in a C natural would probably sound very crunchy, and I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, but essentially, if you can get to these typical leading note resolutions, it makes the voice leading easier. This kind of line. Where there is desire. Sorry, I pressed the wrong one. Where there is desire. That feels like, it feels like every choir piece you've ever sung. But it's, that is going to be extremely easy to sing. And that's why I say try and do that. Especially if it's a harmony. As long as you can make harmonies do what people expect them to do, then your work kind of gets done for you in rehearsals. People will sing what feels logical, and it's also going to be correct. It just saves time. Here there's an A here. There's going to be a flame. There's going to be an A that is not in the G chord. In that case, you don't need to change the other notes. There. That's fine. Now, here you'll probably want to do something because, again, you have this big jump. In fact, we don't... So here we can do a thing that I like to do, where the melody changes parts, but it works because the only part that moves is one of the harmony parts, and the others stay exactly the same. So it is actually going to sound correct. Let's listen to it quickly. Let's just again. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this bass part later, but we'll get to it. There, because only the alto part moves there, that still feels like the correct melody. And then we just keep the same arrangement. And then just move the parts to the closest harmony notes. In this case, this will work automatically. Down an inversion. And then we can just have the other parts stay on their notes. And then we get this nice dominant effect. And here. Here we are going down. Okay, we'll do this. So now the tenors are then going to move down to their G, and we'll assume that this is a dominant chord. down to F sharp, so that the tenors get flame, someone's bound to get burned. And again, that's going to feel like a very, easily singable line. Let's spread this out. I don't understand why they... So I use this thing called the arrange function, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I always use key commands. So notice how they're all first here in a high range. F sharp, A, and D. It's going to sound very emphatic in that range. And once you get down to that D here, okay, I think that'll be fine. Let's listen to this. I think it sounds a little bit like da here, but I think with actual singers who will slow this together properly, it will sound fine. I've changed my mind regarding this. I think what I'll do instead is I'll set it up a little bit better. I think it's gonna be actually a better time to go down there, and then I'll set it up slightly better. We'll just have them go. So in this case, I'm putting altos and tenors down to the next note in their inversion, making sure I don't double the third, but that's going to be fine. Just, I think, contrary to what I said before, I think what's going to happen is a lot of sopranos are going to want to jump down to that F sharp anyway, because they know the song and they know that the melody goes to that F sharp. So I changed my mind. So what's happening here? That's not the worst. It's fine. I think here... I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to do a suspended third here instead, a suspended fourth instead, because you already have these guys on the D, and it feels like it should very naturally be suspended into the next bar. Yeah, I think this is just going to sound a little bit more pleasing, in my opinion. Yeah, and then that's just doubling the fifth, so that's not a problem. Can even do this. There, now we just have a bit more line happening. You can almost, maybe it's a little bit too much like functional harmony at the moment. This maybe. Place someone's bound to get burned. It's is this too classical, I wonder? I think it's kind of okay. Okay, so here we got this nice little octave jump. I think here, set it up so that only sopranos and altos have to jump up. And then no, they're all going to have to jump up. In this case, let's have them all start on the same note. because you want to, again, you're repeating it. There's no reason to change it. And I do realize that the harmony here is B minor, but you can usually put a D major chord. You can usually put the what would be the relative major on top, and it'll sound fine. So in this case, you know, you got this here. You can change. You can have a D major at the top, and you just have this added note because they're essentially a minor third apart. They share a lot of notes, so that this will sound fine. Okay, we just do the same arrangement again, basically. So I'm just going to copy what I did a little while ago. Now change those, so let's have a look. So here, I changed things a little bit. You got this jump down. And instead of having the sopranos jump onto the D, I instead have them jump on an E and then have altos on the D, which is the melody, because you end up essentially on this A chord, the melody's on a D, which means that this will be more of a suspended chord. And then it's kind of thrilling to have that second at the top. And this shouldn't be too hard to sing. Spread those out. And again, I'm just focusing on harmonizing in the upper parts because obviously the bass part is going to be doing the bass line in this song. Most likely I'll have them do the words like so. Where there is desire, there is gonna be a flame. And then here. And now I have to choose if I'm going to do da-da-das or not. Because it's ideally these guys will just stick on those notes and the bass will do something. Dun. Yeah. Let's keep up the and where there is a, let's do this with a Knut. Again, just something to add a little bit of extra rhythm. Someone's bound to get burnt. Burnt, just because it. Just because it burns. There are key commands for this, which I'm not using. I should really be using the key commands to speed up my work. Just be burnt doesn't mean you're gonna die. And then so a lot of this song has this motif of repeating the word try. You know, there is definitely a try in this song. So we gotta. I want to see if I can do a little bit of echo effects here. You gotta So I think we want to go for some sort of polyrhythmic effect here. You gotta get up and try. Something like that. So they start a beat after. You got it. They start here. Change the melody. And I'm doing something that's you know, a little bit different here. This is not going to be choral style harmonies. You gotta get up and try, get up and try. So now here we have an echo effect where they're also harmonizing against the sopranos. This is perhaps not the most effective. Hang on. Let's see if I add in the tenors, maybe I can make this work. Go up there. Let's add them in there. Now here you gotta make sure you notate your rhythms correctly. Essentially, they're all doing the same thing. Get up and try. You gotta get up and try. Let's see how this works. This could work. Let's hear it with the bass. This could, with actual voices rather than MIDI. It's just something that's a little bit unexpected and different. And the same thing again. And so what I'm doing, I'm delaying each of these lines by one beat. And I'll see if I can replicate this also a bit in the bass. And you gotta. Maybe they can even start before this. You gotta. You gotta try. Doesn't mean you gotta. You gotta try. Get up and try. So they can do. You gotta get up and try. So with all these polyrhythmic things happening, well, they're not polyrhythmic. This is no, by no means polyrhythmic, but essentially it's good to have something that then keeps the beat going. Got up and try. You've gotta get up and the same thing again. You gotta get up and try. Try, try, try. You gotta get up and try, 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 try. Try, try, try. And then there's a little break here. Get up and try, try, try. There. So just going with this motif of they're all saying the same line but slightly delayed from each other. And this will probably require a little bit of practice. But we'll see. And I always adjust for the harmony as well. One, two, you gotta get up, you gotta... No, we'll end up with a clash here. Maybe just go down. Gotta get up. Try. There. I'm just accounting for where the harmony is and how do I avoid clashes. You gotta get up. God, it's actually up there, God. Try. This, it might require a bit of practice, but I think this is going to be a lot more interesting. Yeah. I think just at the end here, they do need to coalesce, otherwise it's going to be a messy ending. Gotta get up and try. Gotta get up. Okay, I'll do... We'll see how I solve this, because we're moving into a different section and we want to change things a little bit here. So gotta get up and try. Gotta get up. Gotta get up and try. Gotta get up. Yeah, that'll be fine. So let's copy this over and reharmonize. Gotta get up. Try. And then here. Okay, I'll consider the bridge here later, because this I imagine is going to be something I'll want to employ, for maybe my intro and the other things. Marco says, nice bass line, simple yet effective. Yeah, I think when you've got basses, they are playing the bass role, but a lot of the time they will also be playing the rhythm role, as in they will kind of be telling the other singers what the time is. I mean, obviously you're supposed to get that from the conductor or the band if you're playing with a band, but often the bass will have to ground everything else, to be like, this is the harmony and this is the rhythm. And I think in this case that is gonna do that job quite well, because you've got all this weird syncopated stuff happening at the top. Let's have a listen to this and just see how it works in context. Actually, I want to not leave the basses on their own though. keep the sopranos on their melody notes and then have all the other parts do the and. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit awkward. All parts cut out, basses on their own. So let's have them help out. Actually, here it might be fine, because they're all starting on the same note and they're going up high. Yeah, let's try this again. We got the little incident happening. Yeah, I think this will give things a pretty interesting shape towards the end of the chorus, and it's the sort of thing that you would want to use twice, which we're gonna. Let's add in a breath here. Do they all have enough breaths? Yes. Yes. Okay. Let's not worry about this interlude just yet. Let's refer back to my thing now. I didn't write a whole lot of dynamics in here. I could, no, I think this is the sort of thing that should be pretty full on the whole time, if possible. Okay, so let's refer back to what I've got here. So we've got the chorus set up. Let's talk about the verses. I think at the start we'll want to keep it fairly simple. I like the fact that this bass line is a little syncopated from the go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, etc. So it's already got some interest in the fact that it's not just happening on the 1 and 3, it's happening everywhere else. So I do think we want to get that in here, but we need to talk about breaths. So. That's what I want to do. There. So I've already now decided, right, here's a point where I want them to all to be able to catch a breath. And most likely for a lot of the time when you've got bass singers imitating the bass instrument, dum is a perfect sound because it gets that little percussive attack, but it doesn't dominate by having like a oh, which will very often dominate the sound a bit more. This will probably be more like an MP. I realized I wrote MF before, but I think MP is probably also fine. So now I need to decide who's going to do the melody here. I think I'll probably split it between altos and sopranos. That being said, what's the second verse text like? Funny how the heart can be deceiving. More like so that's more like a genderless kind of thing. I mean, to be honest, this thing doesn't really, it's not a terribly gendered song. I could really put the melody in any part. Okay. So in this case, I'll just want them to ooh. And I'll just want them to ooh on whatever notes are not covered by the bass and the melody. So in this case, it's on, actually the third and roots are both covered. Let's go with this. That B should be perfectly tunable, MF or MP for tenors. Yeah, that's better. Just voice cleaning wise. You don't need that G at the top here. In fact, we could even turn this around. Now we get them all in a fairly low range. I mean, Sibelius is going to complain about the sopranos being on that B. I think it's okay. At this dynamic, that B is not going to be a problem for even for sopranos. So where do they breathe? Let's have them breathe. Let's just have these go on a little bit longer. Typically with choirs, you can have them go on a little bit longer because they're obviously filling out the harmony a lot more. Actually, here that's gonna not sound super good on top of the A. Let's listen to this. There, so I don't know, put a clash down. Again, it's this thing where they're kind of, the bass and the tenor get really close together and it gets a little bit muddy. That's okay. And I think maybe it's better. Sometimes I think it's better if I actually have them do the same rhythm as this. That gives it a bit more of a... This also introduces a place where they can breathe. Like so. I think that's going to work a little bit better. Just for making it sound like pop music. Dun, 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 dun. What the do's? Yeah, and they're kind of imitating the rhythms of the track, and so I think do's are a good solution here. This could sound very, very in-your-face dominant, but let's give it a go and see how it sounds. Yeah, it sounds way too in-your-face dominant. Let's have a third here, why not? Marco says, I see you try to have all the voices always active. That is, no one resting for one whole verse. Is this a rule of thumb, a matter of preference, or song specific? I think if you're doing a cappella, where essentially the singers are doing all the work, I think it's worth just having them sing the whole time through. If you're doing accompanied stuff where you've got, you know, a piano playing or, you know, a band or something, then I'd say give them more of a rest. But if it's a cappella, chances are, unless you're looking for something very specific, you can probably have the singers singing more or less the whole time. Differences will be if you've got sections where you are deliberately looking for it to be a bit more plaintive, or you're looking for, ways of creating a thinner texture. In this particular song, because this song is, and I guess in that sense that it can be also song specific, because this song does have like a band playing stuff the whole time, and so I think in this case I'd probably want to have all the singers singing more or less from start to finish, because they're doing all the work. They're doing the melody, they're doing the harmony, they're doing the bass, and so if you're, that's three, melody, harmony, bass. That's three roles divided over 4 sections. Now, true, you could start splitting up your altos and your sopranos, and and divide it in those sections instead. But I kind of take my view is always: is this going to be possible to do with a quartet, or with the least possible number of singers? And if you've got just 1 to a part, you don't want 1 or 2 of those singers to be doing all the work while the others stand around and awkwardly wait. But it is a fair question, and I think you need to look at the style and to look at what you're going for. There will be some points later in the song, I think, where I am going to be cutting out 1 or 2 of the parts. But I think as long as you're being mindful of what range you're putting them in, and you're using them as effectively as possible. Like here, I'm always trying to make sure that all notes are covered. And to realize I've written altos above sopranos here, but I think that's okay. It's not. I think it's much worse to put the tenors above the altos, because sopranos and altos tend to be mostly people assigned female from birth, who will have voices that will sit kind of naturally in the same range, and so their timbre will be easier to blend. But I think what I'm imagining. I need some sort of response here. Actually, I need some sort of response here as well. Marco says, "See, thanks. I would be curious to explore some alternative styles sooner or later. That's why I'm asking." I could maybe do more of a classical arrangement at some point, where this will be more relevant. For this particular song, I think this will probably be the best solution. While I was doing this, I've kind of decided that I want to simplify it even more, because I think I want to keep this kind of arrangement for the second verse. Let's put this over here, because I think I want to start it even smaller. I'll look at this in a minute, but I want to start it even smaller. I want to start it with just low notes. Let's do this as minims. I think I don't even, if I just want to start it quite small. Very small. I don't even need to put a response here. I can just keep it. But even here, I would probably still have all singers singing, because that means I get the full effect of a chord happening while the melody's kind of just doing their thing. I'm starting it even smaller than before. Just like it's almost like a ballad now. Oops. Repeat that. We need to restate the accidental. No, sorry, the dynamic. Like so. This is going to be very, very simple, but I think with singers doing it with emotion, could even do a little swell. Like this is a little bit like on the maybe a little bit on the nose, but like doing something like this will also make it sound quite sweet and like it's got some shape to it. I think we can afford to just have it really quiet here. And then I can save all my call and response stuff for the second verse. Again, just like holding back. Holding back is a really useful skill as an arranger, where you don't do too much too soon. And you could definitely do that by only starting with 2 voices or something. But I am a lot more a fan of having loads of people sing quietly together is going to be, I think, just as effective. And it's also going to be easier to get a good sound, because that means that they're all sharing the collective responsibility of of singing it in key, and as long as you're writing it in a low range, like singing quietly in this range is not going to be difficult. I think even here I can be so cheeky as to write this as optional solo. And then we change so that these two change. And now I've deliberately written it in such a way that it's gonna be easy for them to switch roles. Tutti. Tutti means everyone. This is a standard music notation language. Tutti is everyone. This is not going to be tricky for Marco because you're from Italy, aren't you? Yeah, everyone. And then now it'll be the soprano section will have an optional solo, and then you can decide: is it better to have it with everyone, or is it better to have it with just one section? There we go. And we already have like a fairly, suitable first verse. That should be super easy to get sounding good. Can even be cheeky and trying to do an extended chord here. I think perhaps this is a little too jazzy, not the right song. Then we'll have a look into transitions. But before I do that, I will then show that. So I wanted to save my more full-on verse until later on. Not that this is full-on, but like we can have this as MF now. I think even with this of an octave, we'll switch. So now I want this to be a tenor verse. Can we even do this down? Funny how the heart can be deceiving. More than just, and then like, it's not, not in a high range still, but I now switched it around so that we have harmonies on the top, like so. Oh, no. That's too much dominant. And it was also parallel moving fifths. Okay, I'm not super happy just yet. Actually, would it be better to just have it up the octave here? Funny how the heart can be deceiving. Or is that going to be too full on? Again, this feels very open fifthsy. Let's have it down there. Funny how the heart can be deceiving. Now we do a response here. So when I say response, I often arrange using the principle of call and response, where the melody does a call, and then there's like a little pause here, and then for me that's an invitation for the other parts to do something in the background. So funny how the heart can be deceiving, like so, and then I follow the rhythm of the bass. Funny how the heart can be deceiving. I always spell this word wrong. There we go. And then we just harmonize this with altos. There we go, and then that'll be fine with tenors doing in the middle. Yeah, so now we have a little bit more interest happening. Yeah, and I think here I'll want to have them all a bit more of a harmonized thing happening. Or I could put it in the bass. Let's put it in the bass. Why not? Why do we fall in love so easy? And then at this point, the bass will then drop out, but then we gotta have the upper parts do a little bit more work to make it still sound interesting. More than just a couple tap more. Why do we fall in love so easy? So more than just a couple times, more than just a couple times. and then we do them have da 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 da. Why do we fall? Oops. So easy. We might have to find a way for them to breathe here. So this one goes over these two parts, like so. And this one goes over 3 parts. Just a quick one there so that they get to breathe. Okay, so there's, I think those are going okay. And then we'll have to think about the transition to go into this little interlude. But already here, so now the tenors get the melody for a bit, and then the basses get the melody for a bit. At the start, the sopranos and altos are sharing the melody. Obviously, the sopranos get the chorus. It's like everyone's getting a little bit of the melody here. Let's see now. So I really do need to figure out what I'm going to do for here. So the original is just this. Ooh. Okay, this is the line that you could easily have happen in loads of parts. I don't want to do it all the way up there. I want to do it down the octave. Ooh. And be like that. So, oops, copy this. I'm just doing something, a very, very simple trick where you just have each part come in one at one. You're just holding on to the notes like this. I'll have to change for harmony, obviously, but. And then the next line. Let's see. Some start on that note. This is going to be a little bit open 5th C. They are a little bit high here, I will admit. Maybe MP is a little bit safer. So I might do a little pedal thing here. So in this case, again, I'm just kind of I'm working out things now. Okay, okay, I'll do. I'll do this, and I'll do it at the intro, and I'll adjust it as I go along. I am going to split in the following way. I'm going to do this, stay on that, and then we have a second part going, and then staying on that. Then what did I do for the altos? And again, this is now I'm kind of inventing stuff. Now I'm, you know, making up an intro, and then making up material that I'm going to be using later on as well. And I did it like. Oops. How do I? Okay, we'll do it like this. On B, and they will go on F sharp. Oops. Swelling here and having a breath at the end. There we go. Like so. And I'll add, I'm not going to have this intro repeat. I think that is something that's not going to add anything. I'm just going to have it happen once. And then I'll have some sort of cadence. end up in an open fifth, in an open fifth here, and then I'll have it move into this chord. Might have to start it slightly differently. There, and then I can have them all jumping down into that B. This will be an F. And then they will kind of naturally end up on that open fifth anyway. Okay, so things will become clearer. I'm just kind of thinking and developing things as I'm going here. And I'll probably have them breathing at different times so that they can carry on into... There we go. They'll start there. They'll start like... Actually, we'll carry on like this and then breathe over here instead. I need to get them down, so I'll jump down an octave here and then up. And then we'll breathe at the end here. And then that will naturally lead into here. I hope this all makes sense. I realize I'm kind of just doing and not saying at the moment. Maybe a second voice. Then what's going to happen is they're going to coalesce. They'll see. So typically, when you do this in choral music, you'll want to spread these out a bit. So let's see. You go to the inspector, and then you will see here there's the possibility to change the X value, and you just move that up so that this note then goes a little bit out there. So now you see that they've clearly come together here. And then I can wrap them together here, but then from then on, it's more or less understood that they're now singing in unison. But now it's just like, it's crystal clear now, they're all singing in unison. Actually, I need to breathe here, otherwise they're going to run out of breath. So like this. Like so. This over here. And the lyrics. Let's have them do who's, just to avoid global stops if you don't want that. Well, I don't want that here. go. Going up to F. So the thing I'm inventing now, I'll play it in a minute and then you'll see what it's like. But essentially, this is going to be the thing that I keep bringing back. But then I'll probably account for, so I'll have more of a bass line, maybe some rhythms in the parts that aren't moving. But this will sound quite good, I think. And then just re-attack there. Then they will step out there because they don't need to be there. I should probably breathe here just so that they have enough to keep carrying on after. That is going to go down. There. There's, like, strictly speaking, there's no real difference between oohs and whoos. I just sometimes like to use whoos when I want to make it absolutely sure, especially if they're in a higher range, that they want to avoid having that kind of ooh, that kind of effect. Whoo. If people engage their breath a little bit before they put their vocal folds together, then that might stop getting that harsh attack. That's what they were doing. Essentially, it's just stuff happening one at a time, leading into the intro. Let's listen to this. Okay, so now there's clash here. Let's keep this there. Is this going to be better? Could even have a pedal here, maybe. And in fact, I think I'd rather have the breath there and then have them carry over. So, oops. This. Okay, so this isn't too long. I think they'll be able to manage. There. Let's have a listen to this again. I think, just make sure all the dynamics are, yeah, okay. Yeah, and I'm keeping, I think this pedal will work just a little bit nicer. So a pedal is just a bass note that kind of stays the same with even when the harmonies above are moving, and it builds tension really well. I think it also falls a bit more in line with sentiment here of things being very quiet and, you know, not taking any attention, and even just taking out the majority of the chord progression will achieve that. Okay, let's listen to that again. And then we can probably introduce the bass line here. Yeah, so we'll find some means of getting over to the chorus here. So now we introduce the bass line. Where there is the where there is the. Then maybe delay that over here. Now we need to change things a little bit so that we get the effect of going, we'll go up to MF actually. So essentially I'm just reusing the stuff I just invented. I'll probably reuse it quite often just because it's something that I think achieves something similar to the track, but, you know, in a very different kind of setting. I'll actually change this chord. I'll have to change this today. Where there is the... So I'll change it to a dominant. Move that over here. This might, again, be a little bit in your face kind of dominant because I'm using, typically when you use the 7th, that can sound very classical and in your face and very like this is a dominant, you know. And that can be fine, but sometimes it just sounds a little bit much. And I don't want it to sound too much necessarily. Sometimes that's fine. That voice leading should be fine. that's just a 6th, that's fine. That's just a 6th. Yeah. Where there is this eye. So you'll see when I'm doing this, I am actually singing through the lines a lot of the time just to see if I think the voice leading works. This is, I think, quite important. Okay, so this I think will make for quite a nice transition into the chorus. So let's listen to this. Yeah, so you see that was very much like dominant. So we'll leave out the 7th. The 7th can make that kind of happen, especially in pop music, where it's just like very much, whoa, we're doing a dominant now, which can be fine if that's what the song does. But for a song like this, which uses very simple triadic harmony, that will sound a little bit too strong in a lot of cases. Let's change these to R's. R. That goes back, like so. Okay. I think this with actual singers will work quite well. Maybe I thought I wanted this to be an A chord, but I'm wondering if maybe I should just make it an F D chord instead. It kind of sounds a little bit boring. Like an A chord will have a little bit more of a leading quality. Let me listen to it one more time. I'm quite uncertain. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I think it's probably fine. I'm probably overthinking it. Okay. So again, we got the same thing happening again. And try. Cut out the sopranos here. where do... Just the tenors and altos on that D, and then we go into this thing again. So I'll probably keep the original constellation, if you will. So I'll simplify things. We go. I've just got to adjust this slightly so that it's more in line with what's happened before. Should be slurred. Did I not slur this before? Let's slur this. Slow. Slow. And over here as well. There. Give me that this just works right out of the gate. Let's have a listen. I just got to add in the little extra response in the bass. I think these should be R's as well. Ah. There we go. Ah. And then these should be do's. Oops. That in the second voice here, so that it's ultra clear that they're going together in unison. And yeah, I'm gonna have that twice, and add in the lyrics. Do, etc. Usually when they're doing stuff that's not lyrics, I tend to do it in italics, just because I like it. This is slightly tricky for the bassist. There is a little bit of jumping up and down. And so they're down, up, and then up there. They're there. Dum 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 dum. Back down there. This is kind of tricky. They've already sung this before. They sang this in the beginning here. I think they'll probably manage. Bass singers are usually quite good at doing larger intervals because they have to do them all the time. Because they have to do octave jumps, they have to, move around. The other parts maybe don't get that quite as often. But let's just listen to this transition. So they're already loud. Let's just keep them loud. Put a little tenuto here because they're exposed, and I want them to go for it. And then we'll do that again, I guess. Don't really need that. Don't need the little ad-lib bit. That's also something the MD can say. Can be like, you, ad-lib. And the other person's like, yes. And then it's sorted. This is MF. Probably keep it there, like so. Ugh. Anyone got any stuff they're wondering about the arranging process? Oh. I'm not seeing. It's fine. I mean, kind of just moving stuff around now, just kind of filling in, adding in, where there's that shouldn't be slide. Where there's stuff missing. There is a little bit more jumping in this arrangement. Okay. There is a little bit more jumping around than I usually do. It's not the worst. It's not like people are jumping up, above an octave and stuff like that. It is generally manageable intervals, but it's more than I usually do. Do we find that so easy, even when it's not right? Even when it's... Da-da-da-da. Even when it's... Da-da-da. So now the sopranos will have an easy way to get up to that D. Even when it's not right. Oh. That's good. Not right. Oh. Yeah. Just thinking about voice leading the whole time, and even when it's not right. Marco says, I like how the invented part blends into the verses. It sounds very natural. Yeah, so it's with getting your own material, as long as your own material is, in the style of the song, it's just about thinking about how you transition from one to the other. So in this case, it's, making sure that the voice leading works, that it's very easy for the singers to get into the next next bit. Yeah, so now they have a breath. They're an MF. I think this will work. Try. Actually, they might be able to keep this. Da, 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 even when it's not right. Oh. I think that's fine. I think they might be able to carry on. So if you want to carry on, you use essentially an under dash, like so. And then that signals to them that you should keep going without stopping to take a breath. Oh, dum 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 dum. 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 There we go. Actually, don't need to do that here. Okay. Let's listen to this. Now I need to add in this. Make sure that the bass is finish the line. Feeling like, I just did this and it's so, it feels a little bit not in the style. Sounds to get burned. I think maybe you just keep one of them, not both. So it is slightly challenging maybe for tennis here. It is MF, it's not too bad. An F sharp on an MF, yeah, I think that's okay. I think I'll accept it. Okay, so we've got the intro, we got the verses sorted. Now we've got the bridge-ish area. Now if we go back to my graph, notice how I wanted to go all the way down to super quiet here. So this is, I think, a very effective place to hold back a bit more and do that. I think no need to change this necessarily. In fact, let's think about how we do this first. I'm worried that it might be ruined. This might actually be a good place to just do unison. Without having much else. Maybe down there. And just the other parts harmonizing just above. Sibelius, you've not put the hyphen in the right place. It does this. It doesn't like hyphens. Could here just have maybe some very basic harmonies at the top. So they're on D's. Again, so this will be similar to the beginning, except now it's in the bottom parts, and the harmony will be very sparse. Like so. This could also be a place to have them do closed mouths. I am generally more a fan of doing oohs than I am doing closed mouths, just because closed mouths do tend to disappear very often unless you're in a good acoustic space. That being said, that's also something they could change. Let's do closed mouth. This will work quite nicely, and now the men get a chance to shine. And then we'll do sopranos, and then we'll have more kind of warmer chords down underneath. We didn't do that in the beginning. We only had a pedal, which means I can now do much more voiced out chords here in the three lower parts. Yeah. So they're covering the third. Oops. No. There we go. So now this is a bit more voiced out than in the beginning. In the beginning, it was very much. It was similar. It was similar, but it wasn't being voiced out completely. It was being, there was just a B in the bottom basically the whole time. These chords will sound very lush. Because they're in a low range and you've got, you've got them fully voiced out. So let's listen to this. And then I want to have some sort of response thing leading into the next chorus. And then I'm wondering if I'm going to do an old trick that I do, which is to have essentially the chorus is still similar to before, but I've cut out the bass, and then it's going to be claps on 2 and 4. This is a very common trick in live music, where you get to the last chorus and you cut out the bass and you just have like a big sing-along chorus with claps on 2 and 4, and the audience tends to eat that kind of stuff up. It's very, very simple and very effective. So I'll demonstrate. Let's get this. Yeah, I haven't done the transition yet. So essentially, you're just building up, and then you get here. Except it'll be double F, not. Doing it quietly could be nice, but. And then you reintroduce the bass there. And I think this is such an easy way to get something different happening in the last chorus. This is already written in a fairly high range for all the singers. So having it like this means you very easily get something different happening without having to reinvent a lot of material. And the singers will already know their parts. They'll just sing it. The bassists will just kind of stand and they'll just like do the thing where they put their hands above their heads and encourage the audience to clap along. You can even have, I like doing this thing where I just say one or two singers ad lib. So you go text, system text, boxed. Finish there. A few singers ad lib until the end. Or you can just gonna write it so it's like so. That's just a very, very easy way to have. And then you know, if you have some good ad libbers, this will be their moment to do some cool stuff, and then the others are just doing their thing. And yeah, it's just a really easy and effective way of arranging it so that you don't need to do loads more work, but you also get something that sounds really good. When you're are you just getting by? Are you just Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll do the thing again where we introduce them one at a time. Are you just and then we'll match the harmonies from before. So are you just getting by? And tenors. Are you just getting by? Okay, so here I need to start moving them up in pitch as well, because I need to get all the way up to that F sharp and that A. Getting by. Tell me. We'll have an A instead here just because it leads a little bit better. Gradually going up in inversions and getting louder. Could even have them be already here slightly louder than before. And then, yeah, we'll just simple stuff. Maybe MP at this point. We'll have oohs there. Oh, I've got caps lock on. Oh, are you just getting by? Yeah. Are you just getting by? Allow them to go up here. Getting by. Are you just getting by? By where? And then, if they're consistently getting louder and louder, like so, an MF maybe, then this will set things up to where it's going to be fairly easy for them. Are you just getting by? Maybe hold on just a slightly longer to that note. Getting by, tell me. Like so. There's no need to have voice 2 here. So let's go filter it, voice 2 only, delete it. So. Just getting by with it. I think they might just be able to manage here. Are you just getting by? Bye. So, insert these reviews. Ooh. And ooh. So notice how I'm gradually getting them louder. I can put the MF there. Sorry, the FF there. It doesn't matter loads. Okay, so let's listen to the bridge. Then write the dynamic in the altos. Oops. Copy, paste. Show all. Yeah. Yeah, so now they very smoothly go up into their high range, and I will then write hand claps on 2 and 4 here. So you get this big, the big clap along chorus. Just gonna listen to that one more time. I'm kind of changing my mind about the thing again. I like it when there's like this leading quality. It sounds a little bit classical, but I don't know. I can't resist stuff like this. I love it. Yeah, I think I'll actually keep it. I'll actually keep that. Cool. So my thought here was, okay, how well does this lead up to this? The thing is, I don't necessarily think I need to change anything. I think I can actually move 2 coda over here, and that will still link together quite well. Move that here, and just move this. Then that actually, let's okay, so I can check this. I can go get my transport panel up. It's a little bit hard when it comes to doing codas, but you can move the playback line so that you get to the second playthrough, and then you see that it disappears when you go over here. You might not see it actually. This is probably covered by my face. Let me put the transport panel in. By moving this playback line, I can then get to the point, because if I just press here and press P, then it won't go to coda. But if I then move that playback line along on the timeline like so, or the transport panel, then it comes again, and now it will go to coda. And if I just press play here, so I think that leads together. I don't think I need to change that because it leads quite well into that bit anyway. That means I only have the very last bit of the song left to do. And then we reintroduce the bass here. Just because it burns. Then I like this. I think that it's worth keeping that. Now here, it's the thing where you can just keep looping and looping, looping. I might have to like organize things so that that works. But let's copy it out and see how it looks. Okay, so here. Try. So I can probably just keep the arrangement very similar here. Except there I'll want it to be like before. But here I want it to lead back here. Which means let's just listen to this. Try, gotta get up and try, you gotta get up. And get up and try, you gotta get up. So these, if they're slurred, that might be fine. Hang on. It might actually be fine without me having to change that much. Let me just hear it in context with the previous line. So I try. You gotta get up and try. Get up and try. Gotta get up and try. You gotta. Gotta get up and try. You gotta get up and try. Gotta get up and try. You gotta get up. Just so what I'm checking now is this easy to sing as it is, or is it going to be awkward? Is it going to require a lot of practice? It might require a little bit. You gotta get up and try, try, try. You gotta get up and try, try. Gotta get up and try, 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 try. You gotta get up and try, try. Gotta get up and try, 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 try. You gotta get up. It's So this, I'm doubting myself. I'm doubting myself. This might. I like the idea of having an open. Of having an open repeat here. Actually, when I think about it, let me listen to it in context again. I can take a chance on this. I mean, I can always, so I can do it like this now. I'll probably like leave it and look at it again tomorrow and then be like, does this work still? Do I think this is okay? I think that might be the best solution here. So I'll just think that they're going back here and slurring. And then we'll do the outro, which I imagine is going to be similar to this. And we'll gradually get quieter. And we'll probably just finish it up in fifths. With a vowel, like so, ending on think maybe stopping with ooze rather than us. Actually, no, it'll be smoother, I think, just keeping them on R's. R's. R. And R. So now they will finish on a big open fifth. I'm gonna stop on that. And we'll stop, we'll do, okay, pianissimo. So good to finish on a quiet open fifth with, yeah, we'll see how that, so let's just listen to this repeat with now I've put in the intro from earlier, or the little interlude thing from earlier. And just finish on up a fifth. Actually, I'll change this. I want this to just be staying on that note. They're already here, kind of slowing down, and the energy is also like going down. I think this will work quite nicely. Let's get rid of the piano part because that's not in the score and the arrangement. And I think I've basically arranged the whole thing. Cool. Now let's go into page view. So far I've only been arranging in panorama mode because I find it easiest, but going into the page you can see that, oh, everything seems a little bit messed up. So first go to layout and optimize staff spacing and just apply to the whole score. Now this makes it easier to see, but of course this is also looking quite messy still. Go to appearance and reset note spacing. Just apply that to the whole score. This fixes some small issues that can pop up when you're working. First of all, I'm going to write at the top that this is for subtitle for mixed choir a cappella. There we go. That's all you need. And I'll write in my name, arranged, and it's just my name. And here. And then I usually unhide this text here and change it so that it's the title of the song. So instead of the header, it's the title, just so people can see what the title is on every page. Then I need to, I think I can probably afford to have 12 systems on each page. So I'm going to turn this down to maybe 6. Now this can be a little bit tricky to get to look just right, especially the first page is always a bit of a problem, but I'm going to have to turn this to move down a little bit and then the bottom one up to fit the copyright information at the bottom. It's still looking a little bit crowded. Let's turn down this even more and give them just a little bit more at the bottom. Optimize again. It's not going to be much smaller than this. It's not the worst. It's I always find the first page to be a little tricky to get looking just right. Next I'm gonna be, this is already turned out in the right place. Now I'm just gonna, I usually do a little system break or wherever there's a rehearsal mark. Just a little bit more space at the top. Actually, not quite 14, maybe just 12 is okay. Just a little bit more space at the top and a little bit more space at the bottom. So we'll go for maybe 10 at the bottom. There we go, and this is all looking pretty good already. Usually I do, so here I've usually used this thing called split system, which I'm not sure if you can quite see, but it's over here to split up so that the coda comes a little bit separately. It's still a little tight at the top here. I am actually going to give it 14 at the top. And yeah, and this goes over here. This is a little bit too tight, so let's break system a little earlier. And this is all looking pretty good. One more optimized staff spacing and one more reset note spacing. I use these functions loads because they just help sort out the layout really quickly. So now already it's looking like actual sheet music. Cool. Anything obvious that's wrong here? Overlapping words tends to be a problem. I think that's fine. I'm just looking for, stuff where the hyphens have ended up in the wrong place, and it's a typical kind of thing that'll happen. Lines just going not where they're supposed to. But honestly, this is kind of looking very good already. There's no need for the second voice here, so let's get rid of it. Filter second voice only, and delete that, like so. So you'll see I only split the soprano part. That's the only part I split, and not even that often, just, you know, once. Not seeing any. That's fine. Yeah, ruined. See that hyphen just kind of popped inside the word. Sibelius for some reason is not a big fan of hyphens. It just doesn't like putting them in the in the right place. So sometimes you just have to drag it into the right place. This could probably afford to be a little further apart. That's fine. They might need to breathe between these here, but I don't think I need to write anything in. Yeah, I think I'll just keep them. And maybe stop claps here. Maybe just towards the end, like so. Because I don't want claps in the outro. And that's fine. I don't see any words overlapping. Okay, so now we're going to listen to the whole thing, and I'm going to see if there's anything obvious that needs fixing. I think I'm probably going to also leave this for me to come back to later. So sometimes, because I'm a little bit unsure about the ending, I might leave it for, you know, the next day to look at and then think, okay, am I happy with this still, or do I think this needs to be changed? Because sometimes when you've been sitting doing this, like I've been sitting here for nearly 3 hours arranging now, and you can get a little bit like blind to your own work. You'll kind of lose a bit of track, and you'll stop to, you know, think about, or you'll stop seeing it with, which we say, and well, you can't see it with an objective eye, but you will stop seeing it in terms of what it could potentially also be. You're just seeing it as what you've turned it into. So sometimes it helps just get a little bit of distance, take a break, and come back to it later. This is wrong, I can say right now. There. Okay, let's listen to this, and I'll think about stuff I might need to change. Before I do this, I'm just going to make sure that all the dynamics are labeled as all. This is a common problem because when you have more than one voice per staff, Sibelius, like all these dynamics are voiced, as in they will only apply to one voice. So now it only applies to voice 1, only applies to voice 2, only applies to voice 3, and so on and so forth. Normally you want to have all, but it doesn't do all by default. This will be, you know, there'll be very particular situations where you'll want to have them on the same staff yet do different dynamics. It's not terribly common, but it can happen. In that case, you gotta watch out for the stuff on the keypad. Okay, let's have a listen. But while I'm here, so I don't talk about the playback much, but let's look at the playback a little bit. So you go into the mixer. The mixer, I just use the key command, which is M, but you can go to play and then mixer. And this can be expanded, you know, however much you want. Depending on what samples you have, then you can do various things. I use this thing called Garriton's Personal Orchestra, which has really neutral samples. But honestly, you could just use general MIDI if you prefer. I think working in general MIDI is a little bit better for choir than working in the Sibelius sounds, because the choir sounds are a little bit like. I mean, the piano sounds in the Sibelius 7 sounds are great. Like the piano sounds wonderful, and a lot of the instruments do sound great in that sample library. But essentially, you want the most neutral, uninteresting one. I mean, I can just do it in general MIDI, and I think that's still a lot better than what it could be. Like, that is extremely neutral and artificial, but it'll give you the information you need. I now see that I've neglected to write something here. Oops. 50. Oops. Yeah, so sometimes your expression text will screw up a bit. I just usually delete it and go back. Hold down Control to write MP, and then just write TT without holding anything. That tends to get it looking right. Yeah, so that is just the most basic synthesized voice samples, and I think it's much better to arrange using those than to use something that tries to sound realistic. Because you're not writing for samples, you're writing for actual instruments. You need to use your imagination, unless you are in fact writing for samples. In that case, you do you. But if you're writing for a choir with actual singers, then this is a lot more useful for you than something that's, well, let's try Knut Performer, and I'll show you. Like that really tries to interpret it and performs it in a very classical way. Let's go from the start. So, like, I mean, obviously, you probably wouldn't want your singers to sing it in that style, but this is too interpretive of a sample library because it colors it so much, and often little details will get lost. Details that won't get lost if you're using general MIDI. You'll be able to hear everything much clearer. So I use Garriton because I find it's kind of the best of both worlds. Which does still have, it sounds a little bit nicer than general MIDI. And general MIDI, unfortunately, tends to introduce a lot of latency, well, depending on what sound cards you have. And latency, that is basically the worst thing, is when you're pressing the keyboard and the sound comes half a second later, like not even half a second later. I forget what like most people consider acceptable latency, but I think like anything beyond 20 milliseconds is like too long. Maybe like 30. Like if you press the keyboard, you want more or less immediate response. And with general MIDI on this particular computer I'm using here, I end up with quite a bit of latency if I use general MIDI. But with Garriton I don't. So that's why I use that. Okay, sorry, that was a huge roundabout way of me just getting to saying that you can turn up the reverb like so. With a lot of them you can go into the settings like here. This is where you use the whatever plugin the samples use, and then that might have some extra options for, here you can control the reverb using the send, for instance, the pans. You can use this. Again, I try to do as much of this in Sibelius as possible. But this one also has effects, like you can add extra bits of reverb, and you've got all these funny things to just make it, make it sound nicer. But ultimately, you got to set it up so that it works for how you like to work. And I often prefer having things be simple and not sound real in the slightest, because then that will affect the way I work. Okay, let's listen to this. I want to add in the basses on that note. Like so. Actually, they're all on D. Is that not? Actually, no. Yeah, I think that will work quite nicely. And I'll have to listen back to it, I think, maybe tomorrow, and then decide if I think the ending perhaps needs something else. But I think even what I've done here, which is like a few singers ad lib until the end, and then, that's going to add a lot. And yeah, I'm not sure if really it's also, it's Try by Pink. It's a song that people already know. They're going to be receptive. They're going to want to enjoy it, and you just kind of you're giving them something that works. And I think as an arranger, it's also important that you get into the mindset of you do something that works, and that's kind of enough. You don't need to be, you don't need to be super clever with every arrangement you do. If you've got the inspiration and you feel like you want to invest the time to do so, then that's great. But at the end of the day, most people listening to the music isn't really going to appreciate that anyway. So you gotta decide where you want to spend loads of time making things super clever. And of course, there's definitely places where you want to do that, but it might not be for Try by Pink. It might not be for the pop songs you're arranging for your community choirs. That's you gotta decide yourself. You gotta try and decide. Anyway, I think that's basically it for today. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Marco says, your work is awesome. Thank you for sharing the session with us. No problem, Marco. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you learned something. And yeah, I shall see you next week for another session. So don't be afraid to make comments on what sort of music you want me to arrange. Again, I kind of try to pick music that I can get published so that I, have the possibility of making a little bit of money off of it as well. But yeah, I mean, I kind of have a few videos coming up, which I'm kind of still working on, which is also why I was really supposed to put a video out this week, which didn't happen because I wasn't able to finish it in time. And I also have a few other things I need to worry about right now. But yeah, do make suggestions if there's stuff you want me to cover. Anyway, thank you for joining me for another session of arranging, and have a lovely weekend. And I shall see you in about a week's time.